Good morning.
Morning. All right, we are on time. On time dream team. So we're gonna go ahead and kick it off. We are recording these. Hey, want to say good to see everybody on. I know it's getting into the holiday season here. But I appreciate y'all coming on. Y'all the ones that want it. Y'all hungry for it. So I appreciate you all being here just to learn and level up and skill up to get ready, for this new year. We're right here, guys. As always, kind of before we get into our training, we're going to be talking about points of negotiation. It's probably going to be a part two because it's a lot of information and we want to make sure that you guys get it. So it may be a part two to this, the new year once we get back together. But as always, guys, I wanted to start out with, I always like adding mindset to any of our trainings because mindset is so critical. And I think, a lot of agents don't succeed because they're not in rooms like this with other agents that's pushing you, that's coaching you. You got all these, great top producers on our team, coaches, campers, icon agents, guys, and we're here to push you. We're here to give you the mindset of a champion, of a winner, that you're going to be victorious, that, this year is going to be your best year ever in business, that you're in business for yourself, but you're definitely not by yourself. One of the things, the hallmarks of the dream team, what makes us different is that you're going to get a ton of help, support. You can reach out to anybody. We have a network of family of agents that you can reach out to with help and support. This is what makes us so strong. There's strength in numbers and there's strength in counsel and wisdom that we have in our group here. So, so guys, if you have not done so, I hope everybody's done it by now. You kind of got an idea what your goals are for 2023, the direction that you want to go in. Does everybody have their goals? I know you may still be massaging them and kind of working them a little bit, but for the most part, do you know what you want to accomplish in 2023?
Yes.
Yes.
Awesome, guys. So mindset, if you break down those words, it's like your mind is set. Your mind is set. It's not all over the place. You're not doing a gazillion different things. Your mind is set on that goal. You're completely 100% dialed in and focused. You're zeroed in. That's one of the terms we used to use in the military. You're zeroed in. You're focused. Your mind is set on achieving that goal, that desired outcome, your chief aim and purpose. So with that, guys, you want to make sure that you're reading your goals. You're looking at them throughout the day. You're speaking them, declaring them. You're putting them in the past tense. I know sometimes I sound like a broken record, but I just want to re-emphasize this. That's what I do. And that's what some of the other leaders and top producers on our team do. We speak our goals. We declare them. We put them on paper. You can't just leave them up in your head and your mind as a thought. This is a great idea, what I want to accomplish. You got to put action to your thoughts by writing them down. That's how you put action to your thoughts. You write them down. You don't just leave it up here. Yet that it starts up in the mind. You got to visualize, you got to see it, but then you got to write it down. Write the vision. There was a reason that that's in the word of God. Write it. You got to write it, make it plain. So you got to take it out of your head from, to paper, pen to paper. Does that make sense, y'all?
Yes. Yes, it does.
Yes, it does.
So make sure we're doing that, guys. You're speaking your goals, you're declaring them. Okay, so we're going to be talking about points of negotiation on this morning, points of negotiation in the contract. And I'm going to share my screen. Points of negotiation, one of the, I was doing some research just preparing for this, discussion aimed at reaching an agreement. It's discussion aimed at reaching an agreement. The term negotiation refers to a strategic discussion that resolves an issue in a way that both parties find acceptable. And we're going to be breaking that down into, make it plain for real estate. In a negotiation, each party tries to persuade the other to agree with the other's point of view. Negotiations involve some give and take, which means one party will always come out on top of the negotiation. The other, though, must concede, even if that concession is nominal. When negotiating, be sure to justify your position. We're going to talk about justifying your position when it comes to real estate. Put yourself in the other party's shoes, keep your emotions in check, and know when to walk away. All right, guys, so let's, I'm gonna share my screen here, but let's talk about some of the key points of negotiation. First thing in real estate, y'all remember that it needs to be in writing. It just can't be a verbal between you and the other agent. Must be in writing. Any negotiation, the final negotiations got to be in some type of an amendment, an addendum. Picking up the contract must be in writing, no verbals between you and the other agent. And, you know, that's a whole nother, you get with your mentor, you know, get with someone else on the team to, you know, show you how to write up that amendment. It's usually in a general addendum or a sales contract addendum, or you make the change on the contract. You line it out, you write it out, or however you're doing it. You know, I use a PDF editor where I can put a line in it and I type in what the new change is going to be. But I try to get my changes negotiation done verbally first, come to an agreement or send an email, and then let's put it in writing. It doesn't always work like that, but for the most part, you know, if it's something simple, hey, let's get the agreement. Are you guys okay with that? You okay? Boom, boom, we go back and forth. Okay, let me type it up, the change, get my person to initial it, and then the other party initials. So make sure all changes are initial. That's another thing. So just a few key factors, guys, before we get into it. Talk to the agents, try to work it out. You know, you're having a lot of conversation with the agent. It's like, I always give the other party heads up. Hey, this is what we're thinking about. This is what we're about to do. It doesn't, again, this is not black and white. It doesn't always happen like that. But for the most part, I call that other agent and say, hey, we're thinking about doing this. You know, what do you think? You think your folks, can you give them a call, see what they think? So I try to talk it out first, see if we can work it out. And then we put it in writing, kind of what I just said. So we're looking at alternatives, options. Motivation is a key factor as well. Motivation of both parties, motivation of the seller, motivation of your buyer. Sometimes buyers were like, hey, let's just go with it. I want the house. I don't want to lose the house. I'm not care. You know, my uncle's a contractor. We can fix that later. Motivation, remove emotions from it. Don't get all hot and, you know, with the other agent. I know it's hard sometimes. You got some stubborn agents out there. You got some arrogant agents out there. But keep your emotions in check, guys. You want to stay even keeled and just provide. You're kind of like, you know, you're the mailman. You're just, you know, delivering the message. You're talking to your clients. This is what they want. Hey, you present it to the other agent. Don't get all hot and bothered about it. You know, the other agent, just stay even keel. Because you know, tensions will rise out there. You know, your buyers are hot. You want to make sure you represent them, know that you're looking out for their best interests, but try to stay as even keel as you can. Try to maintain that professionalism. This is what they're asking for. And they you know, they may come back and say something crazy, but you always want to, you know, stay a step above, you know, at one level higher than where they are. You know, you're not getting down in the weeds with them. You're not getting into your emotions. You're, you know, getting upset and, you know, going off on the other agent, things like that. Does that make sense, y'all?
Yes, it does. Uh-huh.
Yeah, because tensions do rise out there. Try to see it from their point of view sometimes. Try to get your clients to see it from their point of view as well. Sometimes you'll be in negotiations. This is what your clients want, but you know, it's way off, man. You know, it ain't no way. It's like, that don't happen. So you got to kind of negotiate. And that's going to be one of the points that we talk about here in a second. It's like learning how to even negotiate with your own clients. Guys, there's a whole class out there, and there's a certification you guys can get about the certificate CNE, Certified Negotiation Agency, CNA or something like that. You can get a certification in negotiation. So it's not really a negotiation class, but we're going to really highlight some things and points of negotiation. And kind of talk about it and kind of equip you a little bit on it, but it's definitely not the certification class. I definitely advise you all to take that class. Know when to pull back to avoid killing the deal. You don't want to push so hard where your clients end up losing a house that they really love over a leaking toilet. Who's going to fix it? You pick your battles. And again, it comes down also being able to negotiate with your client, being able to ease their mind, their emotions, and come up with solutions to help resolve the issue. There's other ways to resolve issues, guys. So sometimes you got to think outside of the box. You got to be persuasive and know how to, kind of bring down your client's emotions as well in the contract when you're dealing with the other side. Give them some other solutions. How can we resolve this? They're pushing back. They're not wanting to do it. They're done making repairs. So you got to be a solution provider. You got to be, you got to be able to provide some other ways, some other options to resolve this problem, so your clients are happy and they're ready to move forward instead of just killing the deal. Like, man, forget it. I'm done. I don't even want to buy this house. I don't even want to buy a house. I'm just going to rent for another year. You know what I mean? So you've got to learn how to take the situation and pretty much fix it. How can I fix this? Maybe I've done this over time. Okay, let me call my contractor. I'm gonna just have my contractor take care of it. He's gonna bill me later. I'll pay for it now. So how to resolve the issue? Okay, so getting down here, parties involved. And then by other aides, guys, if you had a question, just jump in. And some of our producers, just feel free if you want to chime in on anything, any topic that we're discussing. Parties involved, again, you and the agent on the other side. A lot of negotiations are taking place between agents, guys, because the clients really don't, not all of them, but it first starts with their agent, that other agent on the other side. You're having a conversation, you guys are trying to work it out, almost like two attorneys sitting down and they're talking, how they go back in the chamber with the judge and y'all trying to work out a deal. You and that other agent trying to work out a deal. What can we do? And then we go back to our clients and saying, and clients are, a lot of my clients, and they're pretty savvy. They've done this a couple of times. But you will have clients they don't have a clue. They're relying on you. But still, you got to bring it back and you discussing it with that agent. So I have a lot of negotiation and a lot of discussions with the agents on the other side before it goes into writing. So that's normal where you and the other agent are discussing. You all are going back and forth. Does that make sense, guys? So it's kind of like this academy is kind of giving you the norm of how it works. Maybe not exactly what to say, but this is how it works. Does that make sense to y'all?
Yes.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So me and the agent may go back and forth on stuff, but be careful. Make sure that you're keeping your clients in the loop. Be careful not to make decisions. Be careful not to make decisions for your clients. You want to make sure that you bounce it off of. Let me go. I'm gonna talk to my clients first, see what they want to do, how they want to handle this situation, and then I make a recommendation to them. And if they're okay with that recommendation, then I'm calling that agent and say, hey, this is what we want to do. Anybody else do anything different? Okay. Buyer, first one, guys, the buyer and seller. Starting with your buyer and seller, that's your first point of negotiations. Negotiating with your buyer and your sellers. Getting them to sign that agreement. A lot of agents fear asking the clients to sign their agreement. Is that right? Is that a little, do y'all feel that when you're sitting down with the buyer, sitting down with the
Yeah.
seller, that listening, it's a little fear, a little,
Yeah, sometimes you just don't know when is the right moment to give them that
yeah,
contract to sign.
exactly, guys, exactly. And then even with the seller, as far as the commission amount, you know, there's a little bit of anxiety right there, you know, but again, it's negotiations, it's adding value to them. When you're sitting down, that's why your presentation with your buyers, you need to be showing so much value to them that it just sounds crazy not to hire me as your agent. You know, I show all this value. I almost sit, you know, at least 30 to 45 minutes with a buyer, just educating them, giving them information. My whole buyer consultation, if I was in front of 100 people giving a buyer consultation or giving a home buyer workshop, is what I give my people when I meet with them. So I add so much value. And then at the end, it's like, hey, you get me for free. You get all this. I'm representing you. I'm paid. I tell them how I'm paid. I'm paid by the other side. I'm paid by that seller. That seller pays my commission, but I'm representing your best interest. State of Virginia requires that I put in writing who it is that I represent. So this is an agreement. This is an agreement between you all. It can be broken. If you decide that, hey, a week from now, man, this Rod Obie guy is not cutting it. You know, I think I would just want to go a different direction. All it takes for you to send an email to me and say, hey, I like to void the agreement. I like to go in a different direction. And usually they start laughing, you know, this guy's just not cutting it. He's not, he don't know what he's doing out there. They'll start laughing and then I'm sliding it over to them. Sign right here, initial right here. Does that help? So this is a little something I do. Listing agreement, boom, same thing. You got to add value. But usually I'm there, I'm going in with an assumptive close. Assumptive close, guys. I'm assuming I'm already hired. Assumptive close, guys. Look up that, you know, maybe even go out on YouTube, look up some closing techniques. Assumptive close. I go in with the mindset that I'm there to list the house. I'm not there to compete with other agents and hoping and wishing, you know, that you hire me. I'm going in there with the attitude like I got the listing. I'm here to list the house. When's a good time? How much time do y'all need to have photos? I'm looking at my calendar. I can go ahead and start scheduling. When do you think you guys might be ready for the photo shoot? Matter of fact, I'm gonna text my photographer right now and see what their schedule is. Okay, do we want to sign out in front of the house? When I can have my sign guy here. You know what I'm saying? So I'm going in, that's the conversation. I'm not going in like, hope y'all hire me. Does that make sense, y'all?
Yes. Rod,
Instead of that,
can I ask do you mind if I cut in and ask a quick question?
Yeah.
Okay. So we're talking about contracts like listing agreements and or buyer's representations or seller listing agents. So say you have I'll use me as an example. So I found a new listing client, a new seller. They are under contract with another agent that has not been doing anything for them at all for like the last few months because they were kind of picky, and I know that, and which is fine with me. And so the listing, their current listing agent, like their contract expires with that agent on the 31st of January. If they haven't brought them anyone in there, like brought any buyers or scheduled any appointments for anyone to come and see, like showings or anything, is there any way that they can cancel that contract early? Or can I not really even talk to them before that contract ends? I'm sorry if that was kind of all over the place. I didn't.
No,
Okay.
it's good. No.
Sorry. Okay.
So you have to be really careful with that, talking to them, but have them read their contract and see what the terms of to void the contract are in there. Yeah, have them read their contract. from my knowledge, it can be voided at any time. Any other agents want to jump in? I know George's broker.
Yeah,
I could ask another
I
alternate
would
way, maybe.
say,
Oh, go ahead.
I would say definitely read the contract because, like, for instance, in my contracts, early cancellation, there might be a cost with that, and also be careful because if they ever was to slip up and say, "Oh yeah, Diana said to cancel the contract with you," you know what I mean? Now you're in bigger issues than because then you run into an ethical situation.
That
But
makes sense.
yeah, definitely tell them to read their contract and see what is best fit for them. Possibly, don't really advise them. Yeah, cancel your contract. Go with me.
Okay, I understand that. Am I able to sign a representative contract with
No,
them that
No,
ends?
no,
Okay, got
no,
it.
no.
not
Got it.
until they have canceled that contract.
Okay,
Yeah.
perfect.
Have
Thank
them
you.
send you a copy of, that it's voided. You want to see them.
Okay,
Yeah.
And then of course you'll see it come down off the market too.
I I was gonna say, yeah, sometimes they won't even send you because that agreement is between them. They might not send you the voided contract. But if you see it come down off the MLS, then it's a dead giveaway.
Yep.
okay, perfect. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yep.
everything y'all said, co-sign. I'm on the ethics committee, and that's some of the things that comes up. If you said that if the client says that you've spoken to them, then they can pull you on an ethics violation. So watch out for that. And like you said, if they can't send you a copy of their agreement because it's between those two, but you can always ask the client or the future client for a copy of it before you proceed. And yeah, everything else say, I'm just co-signing.
Got
Mm-hmm.
it. It was actually not a conversation that I had with them. It was I consult with their attorney, the law firm, and so they sent them to me because they weren't being treated well.
Yeah.
But so
man,
I do understand what you're saying
yeah,
completely.
you fall under ethics, with the real
Okay,
as a
got it.
realtor. Yeah, totally different set
Thank
of
you.
rules. Yep. Good question. I'm sure that helped a lot of other people. Okay. So guys, let's talk about so be careful to say buyer and seller agreements, buyers and sellers. Okay, those are the parties, buyers, sellers, and the agent on the other side. Agent on the other side, guys. That's a critical one right there because a lot of times, sometimes you work with other agents, it's not even coming from the buyers or the sellers, it's coming from that agent. So you got to get strong at talking to other agents, and really your negotiation skills with that agent. They're kind of like the wall. They're doing with their job, they're representing that other person. I don't know, anybody want to chime in on that, working with that other agent on the other side? Because sometimes it's not even the buyer seller there, it's that person that you got to deal with, that other agent. So that's when you may want to bring in, if you're a newer agent, you want to bring in another experienced agent to assist when negotiating. Anybody
Yeah.
on?
On that, sometimes you get some of these agents and you submit an offer and they'll say something like, well, they're not even taking offers yet. And I was like, well, and I try to be nice about it to a point where I'll say something like, well, in the state of Virginia, you're supposed to submit all offers. I just want to make sure you submit the offer and go that route, but not trying to be a smart tail. But this last market made some of these agents a little overconfident on what to accept. So because I had a scenario where they said, well, they're not even taking that offers like that. I was like, well, I don't know when you got the last offer, they may have changed their mind. Do you mind just presenting it? And then go that route. I try not to be bully, but at the same time, I'm trying to remind you in a nice way of your job is to present all offers, because that's a violation also. So everything in my mind is always a violation, because I keep seeing stuff coming up as, ethics or not representing the client in the best light. So that's one of the things. You just want to make sure that it presents your offer.
Right. I love that, Joy. Reminding them of the rules. What does it say? What are we as agents? How are we supposed to operate according to legal? Like, what are we supposed to do? So I love that.
In addition to that, I agree. That is really good point. And then also on my last listing, I learned how sneaky some buyers agents can be, and agents can be in general with contracts in ways that we might not understand if we just coming on and learning. Even Linda was like, "Oh my gosh." You know,
Mhm.
you didn't have to go to the broker. And Esther walked me through through the negotiations. Like every day I was on the phone with her for like about 2 weeks.
Good.
Because the agent would add things like lower the interest rate. So that way her client would be able to get out of the contract if the interest rate went up a little bit, or if
Mhm.
it wasn't approved within a certain amount. And she's like, finally, she's like, just put it at 15%. And we know
Mhm.
that if the interest
Wow.
goes, because she had so many little things. And while it was, like, I guess I was naive, but it was
Good.
a really good learning experience to see like everything that she probably could have put in there to trick me. She did.
Yeah.
And like literally they were going through and checking them for me, the contracts, through every revision and saying, no, that's unacceptable. So it definitely is important, even when you feel like, oh, I think I got this now, to have someone go through and just a second pair of eyes to give you that insight that we might not have.
That's a great point, Diana. That's great. And I just made some notes. Thank you for that. I just added something to our. This all, guys, this is all going to be a course. This is got you all the first person going through this New Agent Academy, and all this is going to be a nice, pretty slides and a course and everything. So this is kind of you all are laying the foundation for our Agent Academy, Dream Team Agent Academy. So thank y'all. So that's the point, guys.
Can I say something really quick?
Yes, who's this?
This is Leah. Good morning, everyone.
Leah.
Good morning.
Most of the time I'm just in the background, but I wanted to say that as a new agent, you sometimes have a situation where the other agent will look you up to see whether or not you're new and see whether or not they can kind of outsmart you. So it's always good to go to whoever brought you in or to any of the brokers when they have time to be able to offer you support. Don't think that any question is a stupid question because, oh, I heard them say that before, or I'm new at this, so I'm not going to ask the question.
Yeah.
The point here is to be able to support you, to make you a better agent. So if you don't ask the questions, we don't know you need help.
That's right. That's right.
Can I co-sign on that? This is just a little anecdote. So I actually have my brokerage that do property management. So my number starts out 56278. So I have a co-broker license where I'm with EXP and it's 79. So when I started with my 79 number, these agents that's been out here for a long time, they were making me laugh because they would come at me. And so I had to be nice about it. Like, you might want to check my number. My number is actually 5 and yours is actually 75. So I've been doing this for a little while and then they'll back off of me. So yeah, if you need to have people watch over your shoulders, because agents sometimes they're not the nicest people sometimes, but then sometimes you meet some really nice agents that will try to coach you along the way. But make sure you're being protective. You got backup. All of us are backup.
Yep, that's right. That's right. Yeah. And once you learn, guys, sometimes I get an offer from a new agent. I know it's a new agent. Man, I show them so much grace. You want to have that kind of character about you. Don't try to take advantage of them. I had an agent, she completely left out. We got a well and septic. I'm like, are you gonna send over the well and septic? Oh yeah, oh yes. Show people grace, guys. Don't try to get over them.
Hey, Rod.
And just help them. And that's a part of attracting agents. When you don't come off as, I know it all, and you didn't fill out, because I get contracts and they have stuff missing in there. So I'm like, and when that attracts somebody to you, when you're being graceful with them.
Yeah.
You also have brokers who have contracts that are missing stuff too, though.
That's true
Good
too.
stuff.
with
That's true.
really bad
Sometimes.
contracts.
Yeah.
I've seen
Yeah.
some really bad ones from people who have been doing this a long time.
Yep. Because,
And I think it's
Too
intentional
comfortable. Too
too
comfortable.
comfortable. Just move
or
them.
intentional. But
Mhm.
yeah.
Actually, it
Let me
could be
get Andrew.
intentional sometimes.
Hey, good morning, everybody.
So you gotta be careful.
I just want to share something with you. I met with my mentor for the first time a couple of days ago, and during the she was trying to help me get my form set up because the form for rain is not in the EXP system, so you have to do everything from rain. So she was helping me set my form up, and she looked at my agent ID, which is 5720. And I've been licensed since, first time in 94, and Rain don't change your user ID. They assign your original user ID. Hers is in the 8,000 and some change. And she told me just what you said. She says, agents will look at your ID and see that you're a newer agent. She said, you won't have that problem. So it's just coincidental that you all mentioned that, because she just told me that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Good. All right, guys. So let's talk about this first one here.
Hey, Rod, can I just add one thing?
Yeah.
I know I'm going way back, but it was in regards to Diana's question. Like kind of like small tricky things that agents do on contracts. So when it comes to delivery, when they put in the agent's email, make sure that there is no additional emails that you have to deliver to. If you do, if there's required or it's in the contract, make sure you deliver into both of those, because or however many it is, because say for instance, if you deliver the HOA docs just to the agent, they can void the contract because the client didn't receive them directly from you. So just take that in consideration.
It's a good point.
Because
Great.
therefore you're in violation of the contract.
I was done.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Can you elaborate on that? Because if I was always under the impression, and this is just for clarification, if it goes to the agent, it's the agent's responsibility to send it to the seller or to the buyer. And if the agent has received it, isn't it expected or understood that the buyer receives it?
No, if there's multiple email addresses per the contract, you have to deliver to all emails agreed upon in the contract. And so I had that situation probably about a year or two ago, and I delivered it to the agent only. And this was when I was at United, and Christine was like, yeah, you're technically in breach of the contract due to the fact of, and we had to let them out of the contract with no recourse.
Oh, wow.
That is very correct.
Yeah,
that is very correct. Because even that's one of the reasons why you need to read what the comments are when you're submitting an offer, when the agent puts the documents in there, those docs. A lot of agents will put on there and tell you your directions on how to submit an offer. If those emails are there, you need to make sure that you submit to all those emails.
Yeah.
Correct. And to be honest with you, from there on out, I always put myself and also the buyer's email address as well, just to make sure that, I'm covered, and then also to kind of have standard practices, because, if you don't do it often and you happen to just see randomly that there's, two different email addresses on there as far as delivery, it can also be the listing agent and the co-listing agent, but you need to deliver both of those. So if you don't deliver both of those, and or like for instance, just for a quick reminder for myself, I put both of them in there just to ensure that I'm looking for multiple emails just for the delivery, on my end. So like I say, if you like, for instance, myself, I put it in 2 different emails for standard practices. And then that also alerts me, hey, make sure that you're looking at the additional email addresses or looking for additional email addresses as well.
That's good. My transaction coordinator is also one of those email addresses too.
Got you.
Yeah.
Yeah, because what if it's not delivered to that one particular email? Now, they can't say, oh yeah, if you deliver to multiple, oh yeah, that since you didn't get it, they didn't get it as well. You know what I mean?
That's a good point. That's a good one there. Good. Thank you for sharing that, Ken.
But a
Good.
situation where you have just one email, you send it to that email, right?
Yes. Just send it to that one email.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, thank you for sharing that.
I agree.
Yeah,
Thanks.
whatever's in that contract, that's a good one there. Yeah.
Yeah,
Good.
that thing is voidable if you don't deliver to all emails agreed upon.
Wow. And that just bring us to the point, guys. Know your contracts. Know what your contracts say. Read your contracts. Don't go into 2023 without reading your contracts and your addendums. Read through them, highlight, spend some time on them. Just like when you're studying for your realtor exam, study your contracts. Know the language, what it says. Okay, guys, let's talk about points of negotiation. Again, this is probably going to be a part 2, but let's talk about that sales price. First scenario, I'm representing the buyer. I think eventually we're going to have a slide up here. Maybe, let's say the house, I guess, depending on the market. See, that's why this conversation could get really deep. If the house is on the market for $300,000, first point of negotiation conversation is what's going to be our offer amount with the seller. House on the market for $300,000. So what factors, advising our clients to what offer, of course, at the end of the day, they're going to offer what they want, but what's going to be our advice to them? What are some of the factors that we have to take into place?
The condition.
Condition, good.
How long it's been on the market?
How long on the market? Good.
What your financing terms are?
Financing terms are. Can you elaborate on that a little bit more, Leah? Financing terms are?
Because if someone comes in and they're like, say, FHA, and the other one comes in as conventional, and they can put like 10% down, and you have a buyer that's like FHA at 3.5%, and they need closing costs from the down payment assistance services, I would recommend that my client go with the one with the 10% down, because even if they're just like $2,000 less than what the FHA is offering, they may not get that down payment. That FHA contract for the $2,000 may not get that down payment assistance, because your house, the condition of your house, may not necessarily allow for inspection terms. I mean, because inspection is a contingency, appraisal is a contingency, depending on some of the things that are considered in your contract. Like, what is it that the seller is looking for? Are you looking for the most money? Are you looking for the quickest sale? Are you looking for the least amount of terms? Or like, what is it that the seller is looking for? You as a buyer should always call the listing agent, find out what that seller is looking for.
Yes. Thank you. Always. Make that a part of your practice, guys. Always. Y'all taking notes? Y'all jotting all this down? This is good stuff. Anybody? Are y'all still there?
Yeah, I'm still here.
We're still here.
Yes.
I'm putting my stuff in the chat. So I put 91 day no flip rule. If they have grant funds,
I can't see the chat because I'm sharing.
No worries. I'm trying to write an offer and doing an addendum, so I'm doing a couple of things in the background.
Gotcha. Yeah. No, not you, Joe. I'm talking to these new agents. Y'all the ones in the academy. I can't see no faces. Can y'all turn on y'all cameras if y'all can? We're going into 2023, guys. We're gonna be turning on cameras. We gotta see some faces sometime. Hey, I see Andrew. But again, are y'all taking notes? If y'all are actively here, can y'all come off mute and say something? Are y'all taking notes of this? Or y'all just kind of
I'm taking notes.
Taking,
somebody
taking-
new age? Yes. Sir. Okay, good. Hey,
Hey, Rod, if you don't mind, let me add one more in
Okay.
regards to negotiation. So, hopefully everybody knows VA buyers cannot receive more than 4% of the sales price in concessions. And that also includes, say, for instance, if the buyer would like the pool table in the basement, theater, furniture and equipment, lawnmower, whatever the case might be, make sure when negotiating that personal items, you have to get a value for as well to add into that 4%. So if you're asking for 3% seller subsidy or concessions, and then you're asking for a whole bunch of different things, the value still cannot go over that 4%. So just make sure you're calculating that and watching out, because what they will ask for, if it's personal items, they will ask for that cash value list as well.
That's good. And that's for VA. Yep.
Correct.
Yep, that's correct. All right, guys, what else was sales price? We got conditions. We got how long it's been on the market, the financing type. What else when we're getting ready to advise our clients on the sales price of the house?
You still got to look at comps, what's selling in the area.
Good. Comps. Is it in line with the market? Is everything else selling for $225? What are the comps in the neighborhood? What else, guys? This is good. This is good.
Hey, but Rod, this is Andrew. I would say that a lot of those comps might be from when the market was what it was, say, 6 months ago.
Mm-hmm.
What is it today? So looking at the comps is good, but you're gonna have to look to see to see if you need to make any adjustment downward because of where we are right now in the market.
Absolutely. And with comps, guys, it's the most recent comps in close proximity. And Tina may be able to chime in on it. Tina's an appraiser.
Exactly. I was gonna say the same thing. If it's in the and then a lot of it is based on condition too. If that property has been updated, we can go out a little further outside of the subdivision, but basically that subdivision in that area and the condition of the property plays a huge role in what that property is going to be valued at.
Yeah. Yep. And
but make sure you don't go too far to get comps.
Yep. And similar house, it can't be, a Rambler. You're trying to compare a Rambler to a, 3-level colonial. It needs to be the same type, as close as possible.
Right.
Bedrooms, baths. So you got to do a little homework, if you have time. Of course, 2 years ago, 2020, then you didn't have time to do all that, but now we're kind of getting back to a normal market. And that's another one, guys. You got to know the market that we're in. Is it seller's market, buyer's market? What type of market are we in? Kind of what Andrew just said, market. Anything else when advising our clients on price? How much are they approved for?
Yeah, that always helps.
Their approval letter. So make sure they have an approval, guys. Before you get your clients out there looking at houses, get ready to write an offer, make sure you have an approval. They have an approval letter from a reputable lender. And today in these rates, make sure it's up. It's not 6 months old. It's not 3 months old. You want a recent approval, because if I'm on the other side as that listing agent, I'm going to be looking at that approval letter. How old is this thing? And I'm going to be calling that lender. Hey, when's the last time y'all talked? Do they know what this rate is? They know what the monthly payment is? Okay. Is there anything else with price, guys, before we get ready to advise our clients on what to offer? Anything else? Any of our experienced agents, anything else on sales price?
Ask them how they want to offer.
Yeah, so we advise them, but at the end of the day, They savvy, they want to play, they watched HGTV and they watched all these shows on TV and they gonna come up with what they want to offer. But based on what my experience and based on the condition of home, how long it's been on the market, you know, the comps in the area, you know, and the condition of it and all this stuff, and you approved at this is what I recommend. This is a sales price. How's this sound to you guys? Are you guys okay with this offer here, this amount? Well, we really would like to go a little bit lower. So that's when you go back to your conversation. I did talk to the other agent and they have 2 other offers coming in on the house. They got one in hand. So that triggers me that one on hand, that means now I have competition. Can I still come $30,000 below? Should I advise them to come that low? I have to at least tell them that, hey, there might be other offers coming in on this house. So you may not want to risk going that much below. According to my numbers, it's priced pretty good. It's priced pretty good. So these are the conversations, guys.
So, Rod,
Yes,
can I
ma'am.
ask a question? So, would it be prudent to ask questions like, do they have any other money coming in apart from I guess, you know, whatever they're using to qualify? Because sometimes some people could get someone or could be waiting for someone to send them a gift amount, right? And then if those people are not able to send them that gift amount, then it delays closing or they're not able to close, you know? So would it be prudent to ask those kind of questions?
Yeah, early on when they're getting approved. Yeah, when you start talking to the lender,
Okay.
and they're getting the pre-approval, they want to let the loan officer know all that stuff there. This is early. You would want to know that before you submit the offer.
Okay. Okay,
Yeah.
got it. Okay.
I think what I was gonna say, like Leah has said, with them doing the asking the other agent on purchasing their house for their client, ask the other agent, do they need a rent back? Because that might affect the money also. On, you know, affect also the offer too. That might help the offer, but it might your client needs to know on their end, can you afford to let them rent, because when's your lease up, stuff like that.
Good.
Can I ask this question? For instance, if somebody wants to list a property and they already have someone they want to sell it to, is that doable? Must it go on the MLS and all of that?
Oh, well, if they want to sell the house to the tenant that's renting it.
No, say something like that. The seller already knows who they want to sell it to. Is that doable? Must it go into the MLS? And
Yes, yes, and yes. The legal answer to that is this. If you're trying to sell any property and you're hiring an agent to do it, you've got to present that property to the market. If it's going to go in the MLS, if they're employing the services of an agent, it needs to be presented to the fair market.
Someone could opt, I believe that a client could opt out of having it listed on the MLS, because
There
I
you
think in
go.
the contract, I could be wrong.
No,
I
you're
think
right. That's the way to do it. If they
asks.
don't want to, yes.
Yeah, in the listing agreement, you don't have to.
Yeah, it's a separate form. I'm doing one right now. They didn't want to put it in the MLS. So, but you have to do the form and send it to the local board if they want to opt out of putting it in the listing in the MLS.
There you go.
Oh,
That's the
okay.
right
That's
legal
good
way
to
do it.
know. That's
so
great.
what's the name of the form, please, Joy?
Give me a couple of seconds. I got to pull it up. It's different on ours, so because I'm in Richmond, so it's going to be different from Bright. But it's the form is called opt out, like an opt out. Put an opt out in and it should pull up all anything that stops our opt out listing. Should be under listing category too.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Rose, are you saying like you would be representing the other party, the buyer?
Say the lister. Yeah.
You represent lister. I got you. Okay. And you can do a one pager up there real quick and just immediately go into contract. I've done that too.
Okay.
I've done
One
that.
page.
When I said one pager, I'm sorry, just kind of like a placeholder, filling in a minimum listing and immediately go under contract with it.
I can I can imagine that we don't offer as much as like Redfin agents or whatnot, but I'm not exactly sure of what the difference is in our offerings or our abilities to offer certain things versus theirs. Is there, so I guess my question is, is there a difference? And I mean, I guess each person would have different qualities to offer specifically.
We do full service. Some of those are limited service.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we do full service, but Redfin is a whole different animal. They're a different type of operation. But
I was only asking because I know not a lot, but there's two people who have their house listed right now with Redfin that aren't happy either, that are my neighbors or my neighbors to my parents. And I really didn't know the talking points as to why they should not have gone with them or should have considered someone else. Because they had asked.
Yeah, I'm not well versed with Redfin.
Okay.
All right, guys. Anything else on sales price? We're gonna move on from advice. Everybody's good with kind of what leads up to sales price offer. You see, this definitely gonna be a two-part because we just on price. Okay. Now you're filling out the offer. Closing costs. Another point of negotiation. Closing costs. What's going to determine, this is why I see we're really getting down to the basics instead of just filling out a form, just filling out the contract, but kind of the questions to ask, how to determine how much to ask for. Is something that's needed by the newer agents, kind of like, how much can I ask for? Can I ask for $30,000? So what leads up to making the decision about how much closing costs?
That could depend on what they're financing.
Mm-hmm.
If it's VA, FHA, I think FHA you can do up to 6%, right?
Yeah.
And VA, what I can't remember who said
Was
it,
it
but
4?
Hmm?
4% VA.
4%. I
think that's what Cameron said.
I have Cameron said 4%. But like we said in the beginning, ask the lender up front, what do they need?
Exactly.
And what do they already have saved? So you know what to ask for in the long run. And also grant funds, if they're using grant funds with it. They may not need, they're going to need down payment, but they won't need as much closing costs if you're getting grant funds also.
That's good. That's good. So did y'all hear that, guys? So this is something you should know even before you write a contract. When you're talking to the lender, how much closing costs we're going to need, because somebody's got to pay closing costs, and that's separate from down payment. So they may be getting the grant money for a first-time home buyer program, but remember, that's down payments type stuff. So are they going to pay closing costs? But closing costs is going to have to come from somewhere. So it's either they have it in their bank account or we got to get it.
So the real question you're asking is, how do we know or determine an average what the closing costs will be?
Mm-hmm.
As a general rule, title companies have told me, and if you look at it's pretty close. You're typically looking anything between 2 to 4% of the purchase price is typically going to be your closing cost.
Yeah.
So you can always do a range for your client. So at least in their mind, they understand. If they're not getting any closing help from anybody, no grant money or nothing like that, they put in, depending on what their loan is, if they're doing an FHA of 3.5%, they need 3.5% for down payment, and they need roughly another 2 to 4% for closing costs, plus the other little fees in between, like, home inspection, appraisal fee, and all those kind of things. So it's always good to, at least when you're doing your consultation, you have an idea. Does your client that want to buy a $500,000 property have roughly 7%?
Right.
8% money to put down altogether. So it's not a shock to them when they think, okay, I've got a 5% or 3.5% down payment. What's this other $30,000 that you're talking about?
Exactly. And that's why it's so important. Like new construction, our Friday mastermind, we're talking about new construction. If the builders are offering closing help. So now, guys, this may affect our sales price if my clients need closing help too. Y'all see that? I may not be able to hit them both. I may not be able to come down from the listed sales price if I know I'm going to need that 2 to 4% as well. So that's got to be a factor in my offering, my strategy. Remember, this is a strategy to win the house, to get the house. So this is what, you need to be having those conversations with the agent on the other side, seeing what's the competition like on the other side. Do I have any other offers coming in? And do you think we can get some closing help? Anybody else on that?
Well, I
You
can say
might
for
need
new,
to, go ahead.
okay, I'm sorry. I can say for new construction, they do not want to give you closing costs unless you're using their lender. They don't want to give you closing costs unless you're using their lender. So if you're coming in with your own lender, either your lender needs to be offering you some sort of incentive, or you need to be able to have that money for closing costs, because most likely, unless you can negotiate it from the builder or the representative that's in there, unless your contract is strong and you can say, well, if we don't get the closing costs, we're walking away. They may be at a point where, okay, well, we could give you something, but they're not going to give you that $5,000, $10,000, $15,000 because you're not using their sales agent. I mean, you're not using their lender, their settlement agent, which they get a discount for. So that's how they're able to give you so much money in closing.
Yeah, but some of them are willing to give you part of it. They might not be able to give you all of it, but they can give part of it. I've seen new construction that were willing to give part of the closing cost to, even while you're using your own lender.
But that depends on how much inventory they have.
Okay.
A lot of factors. Yep, every builder's different, and so it's all negotiation, guys. Ask. The biggest thing we talk about is just asking. Negotiations, asking for what you want up front, and then waiting on the response and how you're going to maneuver and shift with the response back to them.
Hey, Rob.
Yes, ma'am.
I was going to say, as far as if you're doing a resale and your client saying, well, can we lower the price, but they need closing costs, and say they need something like $20,000 in closing costs, you may want to up the price by 10 if you got some room, and then ask the seller for 10. Ask the seller for 10, and so you get meeting them in the middle of getting all 20,000 of their closing costs. So that's some negotiation stuff they can do too.
Absolutely.
But remember, in that situation, it still has to appraise.
It still has appraised. But that
is we got to put appraisal on that list now.
Yep. So definitely, it's got to appraise, but that's the conversation when you kind of going back and forth. Okay, let's if you got them on the hook, at least all I want to do is get a counter offer. If I can get a counter offer, if they don't accept it right up front, all my terms and my offer up front, at least if I can get a counter, and that's what I'm asking the agent. Can you just get me a counter offer? If I get a counter offer, then that means we're working together. We're in negotiations now. Don't just reject me. Don't just go, wait and take another offer. I want them to give me a counter offer so we can start working, negotiating, trying to figure things out. So that was going to be my next question. So if they came back and said, nope, we're not going to give you the 3% at all, then boom, now they that's a counter offer. Now you go back and now you do kind of like what Joy, said, okay, can you give us half? And maybe we'll bump up the sales price, another half. And then boom, we got it. Or if you're coming up short, sometimes I've had to do a broker credit. Worst case, never be so quick to give up your money, guys, but worst case, or talk to the lender, if we didn't have these high interest rates, kind of difficult now with these high interest rates, but sometimes you can get a lender credit, but still talk to the lender and see what they can do, if they can contribute anything toward closing. Can the title maybe reduce some of the fees of some of the title insurance or something like that? different angles you can work it to try to get that closing costs. Man, it is 9 o'clock, guys. Y'all see why this is was this helpful, guys?
Yes.
Yes, thank you.
Oh,
Very
yes,
good.
Definitely.
Very.
So we may be here for a little bit because you're learning contracts at the same time. You're learning how to negotiate and the kind of the conversations that you got to have. We still got to talk about deposit, termite, closing dates, home inspection, repairs. That's when it gets good, when we start talking about repairs, negotiating repairs. Well and septic, the settlement company that we're going to go with, home warranty, financing contingencies, because we'll go back to that point that somebody made about that interest rate. That interest rate that you put in there is tricky. They're trying to trick you. They're trying to give their client an out. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the days, financing days, post-settlement occupancies, how you negotiate those, the daily rate and the deposit. We'll talk about cash offers, appraisals, and personal items in the house. So stay tuned for the Academy, guys. So we're going to pick back up in January. There'll be no Academy on next Tuesday. We're going to pick back up in January. Get ready, guys, to go higher. We're going to be taking this Academy to a whole nother level, guys, in 2023. Educating our agents out there. But use this Academy, guys, as an agent attraction tool. This is not happening out there with most companies. You know what I'm saying? So this does not happen. This is rare that you have agents that are willing to like sacrifice their time to like really give back to the community, new agent community. So we're doing something cutting edge here. All right.
Thank you, Rod.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
Have a
much.
blessed day.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you
Rod.
very much.
Thank
Hey,
you.
Happy
Rod.
holidays,
Thank you,
everyone.
everybody.
Happy
All right.
Hey, Rod,
holidays.
real quick.
Hey, Rod.
Rod.
Yes,
Hey,
sir.
remember I got that call today. I'm gonna confirm the time is after 1.